Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video on this lovely, cold, chilly, gloomy Friday morning. But I don't care because Newcastle are through to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Fantastic night, midweek, a great win against Brentford. I've spoke about it in my kind of vlog reaction video. The Leicester game was great because we ran in there, we ran all over them, we scored some goals, they weren't very good. The Brentford game was like the kind of match we've been wanting to see. You know, I would go as far as to say our second half performance against Brentford was up there with probably one of the best of the season. Ran the show, controlled the game, Tonali gets 2 goals, what's not to love? And we have got our team for the next round. It is Arsenal, so we will talk about that in this video, as well as the fact that we play Ipswich at the weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that, and the manager, the players, they've done their job so far. Hopefully they can continue it this weekend. Is Paul Mitchell ready to do this January window? Because there's no doubt if we start to get things rolling, semi-final, we've got the FA Cup as well against Bromley. You know, we're not too far out in terms of the league as well because it's so tight. Can we make a good run of it the second half of the season? Hasn't been a great start, but we've got time. But I think to help that, we need to go out and make some signings this January window. Players are linked to leaving. Dubravka, huge links to him going away. Longstaff, Trippier, despite the fact that Eddie Howe has said we need to sell, he's also saying he doesn't want to sell anyone, which is very Eddie Howe. But the big one this morning, a player that we've heard already in the last few weeks, reports from Sky Sports as well as a few newspapers that Newcastle are in very close talks with the PSV right winger Bakayoko. Big price tag, very talented player, would certainly help Newcastle. Yes, guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. Waking up this Friday morning with a bit of a smile on my face. I'm actually doing this before the Eddie Howe press conference because I'm away with work and I've got stuff to do today. But I thought, you know what, why not take advantage of some fresh air? And as I say, and if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Things are on the up. Coming into the Christmas period, so much football. There's so much football over Christmas, but I think there's even more in January. I think Newcastle have 4 games in 10 days, which includes an FA Cup game and the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. So loads to come, loads of videos. Don't miss them. But yeah, as I mentioned, I won't go over the Brentford game too much, but it was a great win. Funnily enough, the right winger that I think a lot of people are interested in, Mbumo, didn't start, so that was an interesting one. Is it because he's making sure he doesn't get injured before we sign him in the January window? That would be nice, wouldn't it? However, maybe not. We'll talk about Bakayoko in a moment, but I think if we want Mbumo, we're going to pay big. That will cost us a lot of money this January and possibly more than what we're willing to spend in the January window. I think if we wait for him, it'll have to be the summer. So that's the thing. Do Newcastle move now on a great talent in this January, or do we hold out for maybe what is the player that a lot of people are talking about at Brentford, who will no doubt have a lot of competition to bring him in? But yes, anyway, we got Arsenal in the semi-final. What's the end of the Spurs game last night? Obviously, them winning, I think that's the one everyone probably wanted. I mean, look, in terms of the teams left in, Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, it wasn't quite the Southampton semi-final that we had last year. These are all good teams, and we know what Newcastle are like at home. I think we can beat any of them. We've already beaten Arsenal. We've already beaten Spurs. We gave Liverpool a hell of a good go. It's away from home where we might struggle. And our first leg away from home against Arsenal, we will be without Fabian Schär and Bruno because they both picked up yellow cards. I think in the way it's fell, I would rather Arsenal live in Liverpool, so at least that's slightly better. And if we can take a 0-0 from the first leg away from home back to St James's Park to blow the roof off, get in their faces and really give it a good go in the second leg, I think we've got a chance. There's just a lot of pressure going into that game. Even a 1-0 loss, getting them back to St James, I think we can give anyone a good go. We have done with Arsenal for the last few seasons. So, back ourselves to beat them at home. It's the away from home at the Emirates, which has not been good for quite a while or ever, So we'll see how we get on. Let me know your thoughts on the Arsenal draw down in the comments below. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's just what you have to do if you want to get to a final, you know. And as Eddie Howe himself said after the Brentford game, the composure of the players was spot on. You know, there was no hysterics. You know, the crowd was good, but it wasn't like booming. I said that in my review as well. Maybe that was a good thing, you know. Maybe we didn't need the overflowing emotion of it. We got the job done, and Tonali did what he had to do, and let's hope he can continue to do it this weekend against Ipswich. Can Newcastle win 3 games in a week? You know, that would be pretty nice. A cup, get into a semi-final, two league games. There was a lot of talk going into these 3 games with pressure on the players, pressure on Eddie Howe. You know, show me what you've got. You know, it's been a stop-start season, and just grab that little bit of confidence. Hopefully, we're steamrolling out of this Brentford game straight into Ipswich and get the win there, and then, you know, heading into a Boxing Day game against Villa at home, I think, which again will be tough, but we've seen how we played against them at home last season as well, and they've been having to juggle European football. So, and then it goes into Manchester United away. So there's some big games coming. Let's hope we can get the job done. But turning away from on the field to off the field, as I've mentioned, is it time for, you know, Paul? I think there's pressure on Paul Mitchell. I'm interested to see what he does. I'm hoping he pulls something off. He was quick after the summer to kind of play a little bit of the blame game. I came in late. It wasn't my fault. The plan wasn't up to scratch, you know. Eddie Howe, I watched the Eddie Howe interview with Simon Jordan, who, as I say, I'm indifferent on. But he asks some good questions, and he asked Eddie Howe, what do you think about Paul Mitchell basically throwing you under the bus, and Eddie Howe avoided the question. But he did. Paul Mitchell pretty much came in and went, you know, it wasn't my fault. You know, well, I'll tell you what, Paul, well, look, we're watching you this January. And look, that sounded harsh. I want him to do well. I want to see him make some big moves, and I think for himself, he'll want to. The trouble is, however, is this buy to sell stuff going on. I'm hoping that's a load of rubbish, and we actually do have money in the back, you know. That where's the Gahey money? Where was the deadline day bid for the Chelsea player? Forgotten his name, but yeah, there was money available in the summer. Where's it all gone? You know, so I'm hoping that's a ploy by Newcastle. We've got no money, you know. We can't pay over the odds, you know. That's what I'm hoping's happening, and that we don't actually have to sell to buy. Eddie Howe said he doesn't want to lose any players, but then has also said that we have to sell. Martin Dubravka being heavily linked to a Saudi Arabian club, which makes sense. Contract ends in the summer. I think moving him on now is a good idea. I think the likes of Trippier, who aren't playing, Wilson's injured, you know, Miggy, who I think actually did come on at the end of the Brentford game. I thought Eddie Howe was purposely not playing him to try and give him the hint, we're ready to let you go now, Miggy Almiron. So we'll wait and see. I think the Dubravka one makes sense, but when Nick Pope's injured, John Ruddy's 42, the Vlaco Dimas seems to not be highly ranked. Bear in mind how bad Dubravka was last season, don't get me wrong. Did all right in the last 2 games. So big up Dubravka, not that he had too much to deal with. Vlaco Dimas, the Greek goalie, is coming in ranked below Dubravka. Are we going to sell Dubravka? You know, are we going to have to buy another goalkeeper? Because Nick Pope's injured, and by the way, I think he's been injured all season, with the way he's been punching and the ball not catching it. Dubravka, who was, you know, unless he's turned the corner, confidence-wise, maybe confidence is huge for a goalkeeper, was poor last season, is now suddenly, you know, ahead of the 2 goalies we just brought in. So it's a weird scenario. Selling him now makes sense, even if it's 5 million, you know, whatever it is. It's better than getting nothing in the summer, and I don't think we'll offer him a new deal in the summer. But who the hell's going to play and goal? Unless Nick Pope is actually going to be fit very soon, and I hope he is. And then, as I say, Trippier, Wilson, those guys. Longstaff's being linked away as well, which I hate, because I don't like this idea of selling our local talent. But you could argue with the likes of Miley coming back, Tonali coming into his own, Bruno, Joe Linton. We're doing all right there at the moment, so maybe that is a position we could look to lose. So if there was a player you were going to let go, let me know down in the comments. And are you brave enough to let Dubravka go? Is letting Dubravka go even that much worse than Vlaco Dimos? I really don't know. Arguably, I want a new goalie. Obviously not Nick Pope. Arguably, I want somebody else to come in. But the position that we are heavily linked with, without a doubt, is the right winger position. As I've mentioned already, Mbeumo from Brentford is hugely linked to Newcastle, as well as every other team. to be honest. I think it's likely that he could well leave in the summer. Will Brentford let him go this January when they're on such a good run in the league? We know with potential European opportunities like every other team, you know? And more along the lines of Newcastle, if they were to let him go in January, it's pretty much saying, yeah, we are hurting our chances of, you know, grabbing a European Conference place or whatever Brentford want to try and do this season. If they're going to do it, they'll be like, we'll do it, but for massive, massive money. And when Newcastle are talked about not having any, and in reality, if we did have 80 million, I would rather spend, 40 to 50 on the likes of a Bakayoko from PSV if we can get him at that price, and then have some money to spend maybe on a right-sided centre-back, or another position as well. So, or a striker. God, we've not even talked about that. With Wilson injured, we did actually see Asula get some game time with his new blonde hair. The blonde lads are back. That means we're going to be good again. So yeah, the striker's still one in there. But yes, reports, I think it was Sky Sports Belgium reporting yesterday that Newcastle were in heavy talks. I think they were quoting 30 million. But reports this morning so that was Sky Sports, from the Shields Gazette, they were saying that Newcastle are very close to agreeing personal terms with the likes of a bid of around 25 to 30 million. I think that's too low. I think the reality is it's going to be closer to 45, 50 to get this guy. Very highly talented. And as I mentioned, I think it was Brentford themselves. They had a bid rejected for him for not much more than we're reportedly going to try and offer for him. Having said that, I think his contract ends a year in the summer, so they've got a bit of time with him, but with a January window, maybe they'll try and cash in and get some money as well. So it's great to see that Newcastle are getting linked. I've no doubt, hang on, I'll set me watch for an hour's time when Eddie Howe comes out. We aren't linked with anyone, we aren't selling anyone, it's classic Eddie, and that's the way it should be, to be fair. And also, in fairness, it's nothing to do with Eddie. Well, it is, that's a lie. Eddie Howe should be involved, but I think the pressure's on Paul Mitchell this time round. Wouldn't surprise me after the most recent comments if Eddie goes, well, if you didn't like what I was doing, then we're going to leave it to you this time. Thanks for watching, guys. That was a good, nice early morning video. Get me woken up. Thoughts and comments on the semi-final draw. Thoughts and comments on players leaving and the new links to Newcastle. Hope, 1st of January, get the cash book out and let's just get it done nice and early. Because if we can get someone in time for the games we've got in January, rather than the end of January when we've already played, 6 or 7 games. Get them the 1st of Jan and get them in the squad and get them going. I'm excited to see Botman back. He's being linked. He was playing in the under-21s. Lewis Miley as well. Someone we really haven't seen a lot of, but we know what he can do. Lots going on there. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy your Friday. I'll be back tomorrow for the Ipswich game. So as I said at the start, if you haven't already, subscribe. Don't miss out on the content. And I'll catch you later.